Going over Twitter poll results, the Nutnfancy project. We are out on the water adventuring, testing gear. This is a Sea Eagle 385 FT fast track. There's Jardine.
What's up, TNP?
So we're gonna go over some of my Twitter polls that I've been posting. Watch out, I figured out how to do poll questions in Twitter. What do you think, Jardine? Good, bad, stupid?
Good, they've been funny. I've enjoyed them.
Awesome. Jardine's been shooting with us for years now. He's a crew member in TNP. He helps me out just like he is now. Appreciate it. And he's gonna weigh in on these poll questions. We have one sex question. So we're gonna talk about that. First up, here we go. May 3rd, I asked, pepper spray, rocks, physical beatings. How should violent Antifa, anti-American protesters be dealt with? Police often look the other way too. The answers were cops need to do their job. Next is answer force with force. Next is write a letter to the mayor. Next is listen and agree with them. Which one won? Jardine.
Answer force with force.
That is correct.
Yep.
So let me take my glasses off so I can read these screenshots better. 50% said answer force with force, and almost another 50% said cops need to do their job. And I agree with both of those answers,
Sure.
actually.
Yeah.
That cops do need to do their job. Get out there, and if someone, like if Laura Southern, if she goes up to Berkeley and she decides to protest, people pepper spraying them in the face, throwing rocks, and preventing them from even speaking is so unacceptable. And from what I understand in the reports from Laura and the crowd there is the cops were in their cars initially, that they wouldn't come out and protect the people that were there, you know, whatever that was, a pro-Trump rally. I forget what they're doing, a Make America Great Again rally. Who cares? They have a right to talk, true or false.
True.
So apparently though, in this day and age, it's okay to just punch people in the face, pepper spray them, maybe worse, hit them in the head with a pipe, wood, if you don't agree with them, to silence them. And that's what really concerns me about the left, is they actually want to silence people. They don't even want you to have a forum to talk. And if we were to go back during the Obama administration, I don't remember that happening. I don't see a lot of right-leaning folks going out and trying to shut down the left-leaning voices. Did you, Jardine?
No, sir, did not.
And even if that did happen, do you think police would have been cowering in their cars? You know, let any physical violence happen?
Not in that situation.
No, they wouldn't. So if cops aren't going to do their job, even in rule of law, and someone comes up and maces one of my buddies in the face, or, you know, punches him in the face,
Force gets met with force.
you got to defend yourself.
Totally.
The law of self-defense is in play, bro. So if you need to punch someone in the face, so be it. And, you know, be careful what you ask for. You just may get it. You know, if they start being violent with these folks, guess what? It could escalate. I hope it doesn't, but it could.
No, I've got no problem with protests. Protests are fine.
Yeah, peaceful protests.
That's exactly.
We've been doing it for decades in this country. Go back to the 60s.
Sure. Once you start getting violent, destroying property, injuring other people, you're now a criminal. That's where the police need to step in and do their job, and that's when people need to defend themselves as well.
Well, and think about how this whole process we see going on right now, where the left does not even want Ann Coulter to speak. They want to shut her down, or that Milo dude, they didn't want him to speak. So they're starting fires, throwing chairs through windows, mass-faced violence. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that kind of without rule of law situation?
Yeah, it is. And you know what the ironic...
You're in WRL right there.
The ironic thing is they claim to be anti-fascist, and that's fascism itself right
Totally. They misuse the term as a propaganda move.
Sure.
Freaking believable. So, I hope to see more pro-America, maybe make America great demonstrations. There have been some answering back, and you know, the cat's out of the bag. They kind of know what to expect now. So these demonstrators, I'm talking pro-American demonstrators, patriot demonstrators, are ready. Like, you want to come jack one in the head with a rock, you're going to get jacked up yourself. Don't do it. Not for violence. I'm a big promoter of rule of law, but at the same time, dude, that's unacceptable.
Agreed.
You feel free to comment, by the way. I mean, this is, you know, Pro, against, that's totally cool. But if you take it out of hand, myself, Jardine, some of the other moderators will just nuke your comment, block you. True or false?
True.
Yeah, so, you know, we leave a lot of dissent in there, no worries, but if you're out of hand, sorry, we're gonna get rid of it.
Yeah, don't be a douche in the comments.
Don't be a douche in the comments, by the way.
Terrible.
You know, we'll just click one little button and it'll make your comments disappear over the entire channel. It's rare we do that, but we always reserve the right to do it. Next one is, if a gun was used in a crime, is it worth less? So let's say it was a murder or a suicide, and that was a B channel video. It was part B of police evidence guns at Gunnies, and 87% said no. 17% said yes, that it's worth less. Now in that video too, Jardine, what I said is, it really is dependent upon if you know the story.
Sure.
You know, like if you clean a gun up and you sell it and the dude doesn't know it, okay, cool. You know, ignorance is bliss, right?
That's right.
It's better you don't know it. Now, if I personally knew that a gun had been used in a suicide, I wouldn't want that gun. I'm just telling you honest. Is that my, of course, the GoPro dying standard. So that's just me. But generally speaking, if a gun is cleaned up and given a new lease on life, it's not the gun's fault. You know, it's not the object's fault that it was used in that manner. The same thing can be said for World War II Luftwaffe stuff. So I wore a Luftwaffe watch in one of our shoots, and a guy said, "Oh, you can't wear that." And by the way, it wasn't even a real Luftwaffe, it was just a modern day 1960s Luftwaffe watch. Let's take it to the next level. Let's say you have a Luger from your grandfather or great-grandfather that he brought back as some war booty. Is that gun evil?
No. A gun is an inanimate object. Doesn't make decisions, right? It's all about the person behind the gun. You take any World War II or Vietnam or World War I era weapon, chances are pretty good that weapon was involved in taking a life.
Yep.
So is there
doesn't matter which side it served on, Axis or Allied.
No.
Could be a Japanese Nambu pistol.
Sure. And we don't know
Maybe it was used in the Bataan Death March. Is that gun now worthless? Nope.
No.
So when guys roll in, they go, "Oh, you can't." Like if you wear a watch that has like a Luftwaffe symbol on it, it's the same thing. Doesn't mean you're a Nazi. That's like telling your grandfather. I said this in a comment. It's like, that's like telling your grandfather who has that Luger pistol he's a Nazi. How stupid is that? These people are having a good time. Check this out. They're pretty gutsy to be having their kids swimming in this water. They're gonna have a leg fall off. Next one, is 5 rounds enough for home defense?
No.
What percentage do you think said no?
Oh, dude. 90%, 90 plus.
68% said no.
Really?
And 31% surprisingly said it was enough. I didn't think it would be that high. For me, there's no way that 5 rounds is enough.
Nope.
No way. You tired? Are you doing all the paddling, bro?
I'm good.
You rock.
Enjoying this.
Do you think the Colt Police AR is awesome? Jardine shot that with me.
Oh yeah, that gun is sweet. That's an awesome gun.
Yeah, 93% said it was awesome. 6% said no, and I think they're just messing around.
They're trolling.
We had 1,277 people respond to that question, so that was a good turnout on that one.
Yeah, that's good.
Next up, let's see, I already did that one. Where do you get your news from? Mainstream media, phone app like Simply Lines, I use that one. Drudge and Breitbart, etc. YouTube and blogs. Which one do you use?
I get all my news from CNN.
You do not. The Communist News Network.
Absolutely not. Most of my news comes from Breitbart or Drudge.
Roger that. That was the winner by 37%. Surprisingly, 33% said YouTube and blogs.
Really?
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, there's some really great YouTube channels that talk about stuff.
Well, I'll say this, dude. In the age of information, you really do have to do your homework on what's out there, because there's a lot of stuff that gets put out. I mean, how many times do you see these funny internet stories about celebrity deaths that turn out to be completely fake? But you really, if there's something you need to know, something you're interested in, a news story that breaks, you got to really do your due diligence to do the research, and it's not that hard. I mean, you can look at a lot of sources online and cross-reference different stories, different information to make sure you're getting the whole story, or as much of the story as you can piece together. Plus, a lot of times, you know, news stories, they got to pass the smell test. And if they don't pass the smell test, if something seems out of whack, something doesn't seem right, it probably isn't.
I stopped watching the mainstream media in, what was it, 2012. I dialed out completely. And I'm talking even the comedy shows.
Yeah.
After Obama got reelected, it's all I needed to know. I'd given them another decade to get it right and put in some fairness there. I'm not saying they need to, I mean, if you're left-leaning, fine. But be an objective journalist, for crying out loud. You know, if you go back to the journalism in the 60s and 70s, a lot of them back then were left-leaning. But they still would do generally objective journalism and let you make up your mind. They would report the facts. Walter Cronkite stands out. People trusted that. Well, but now that's done.
Yeah, the integrity of the media, it's not something that's held high. There used to be a standard where individual reporters actually cared for their integrity. They knew that if they lost their integrity, anything that they reported on or talked about would be null and void to the mass public.
Wasn't it Brian Williams that made up that whole story about him in Iraq? That he was shot down in a helicopter or something like that?
It was Brian
So now
Williams.
he's working for MSNBC, right?
Yep.
So it's just so much agenda and progressive leftist agenda. I can't take it. My answer, by the way, is Breitbart and Drudge, but I do it through an app called Simply Line, so it's basically the same answer. I think, again, YouTube is a great source of information.
Agreed.
Who should pay for your health care costs? Your options are government through higher taxes, employer via earned insurance is another one, individual or private insurance, and then other people at the hospital. Now understand, in Twitter I don't have a lot of characters that I can put in the responses. It's very character limited. So I put other people at the hospital, but basically in a way I'm trying to tell you that someone who has insurance should cost share for you, which is the way it went for a long time. People would show up at the emergency room with whatever illness. Maybe it was just a fever, or maybe they stepped on a nail. They didn't have insurance, and the emergency room would cover the cost. But guess where those costs were transferred to? People who went to the hospital.
That's right. That
had insurance. That's why your aspirin cost $27, because you're paying for that dude that didn't have insurance. So those are your options. What do you think the winning response was, Jardine?
I'm going to say most people probably said you're responsible for your own insurance.
That is correct. Let's see, percentage-wise, it is 54% said the individual and private insurance.
Totally true.
But second position is employer via earned insurance. So you get a job that has that as a benefit. I think both of those responses are great, but that's probably my top response is employer versus through an earned benefit. In other words, go work for a place that has insurance. Go qualify yourself for a job that has insurance. And if failing that, then like everyone said here, not everyone, but the majority, it's kind of up to you. The thing that where we are now with healthcare, I believe, is that people honestly believe that the government should provide for their healthcare. True or false?
True.
8 years of Obama changed that. And I talked about King Obama and the repercussions way back when, and that was one of the things. It changed people's mindset. And now that you have some form of government healthcare, I think it is here to stay. When you have an entitlement, you're not going to reverse that entitlement without, civil war. They won't put up with it. So it's here to stay, unfortunately. But just please point to me where in the Constitution says the government's required to pay your health care. And there's 1,000 comments. Yeah, but I had this thing and, I didn't have money to pay. Well, it's the hamburger example, Jardine. I want to go get a free hamburger. I want to just walk into Wendy's and get a free combination meal because I am awesome. Or I don't have any money, but I'm hungry. Who's going to pay for that hamburger?
Well,
who's going to pay? Or is it just free? Is it, can we just provide it for free?
No, you got to pay for it because in the end, somebody always pays. So
it ain't free. Someone's paying for it.
It's never free.
And what's happening with Obamacare now is that it's exactly as well the Republicans were saying. They're like, hey, this is not going to happen. It can't sustain itself. It's going to go in the red. And now look at what's happening. All these major insurers like Aetna are bailing on the program, saying we cannot do this anymore.
Yep.
Anything to add to that?
No. I think at the end of the day, personal responsibility, man. That's the name of the game. You should be able to take care of yourself, take care of your family.
What do you say about the commenters that are going to show up and say, hey, I've had a long string of bad luck. I need government health care. Otherwise, I don't have this problem taken care of, and I don't really care who pays for it.
Well, look, you know, originally, wasn't that the whole idea behind like Medicare or Medicaid? I mean, that was, some people do need help, no doubt.
Correct.
But we have
it should be a limited...
Well, it should be limited, and it should be, I mean...
short term.
Yeah, there's so many people who have taken advantage of that and have just exploited it. And it's just turned into it's like the welfare program. You know, the welfare, I'm not against welfare, you know, people that need help, families that do need, you know, money for food and things like that because they're on hard times, but that should come with some stipulations, man. It should be, I'm totally for drug testing for welfare recipients.
Right.
I'm totally for, you know, it's a short-term, help. You know, you need to be able to get back up on your feet, and we'll help you for now, and then
exactly.
get
Short
up on your
term,
feet and get you off of it. But
hey, did you do some
crutch.
job interviews this week? How can we get you job training?
Yeah.
You know, let's get you back on your feet, because your sense of pride as a man is going to be a lot higher if you're earning a wage.
Sure.
If you're disabled, truly disabled, that's different. Like if you cannot work, that's different, and there are programs for that.
Sure. But you know, the main thing with welfare the main message should be, we're going to help you help yourself.
Correct.
You know.
So the takeaway on this is 77% said either you pay it yourself or you get it through your employer on that poll question. 11% did say, and I'm giving them a voice here, I believe that the government should provide health care through higher taxes. And so to that response, I'll say, what level of taxes is acceptable to you? Let's say it goes up to 80% personal tax. That's kind of a ridiculous example, but let's say it did to pay for this. And in Europe, some of those taxation rates are approaching that. Are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, the person who doesn't work, and
the person doesn't work.
They're like, yeah, I'm totally good with it because they're not paying it.
That's right. That's totally right.
Next question. How stupid are guys to spend $500 or more on a single watch? Sometimes more. 30% said not stupid at all, smart. Let's see, 35% said moderately stupid. That was the winning response. 13% said highly stupid, and 22% said max stupid, better things.
Okay. I'm gonna say, if you have $500 to spend on a watch, good for you. Go for it.
Exactly.
It's something that makes you happy. It's something you enjoy. Not only that, man, but you can get some pretty dang cool watches that do some cool stuff. I mean, I think of the Tissot model that's got all the
talk loud too. I think the mic's picking up, but
well, you got a lot of cool watches for $500. Not only just in looks, but functions and other things. If you've got $500 to go blow on a watch, dude, tear it up.
Yeah, you got a lot of money. You're making bills. You're comfortable. I say go for it.
And I'll tell you
what prompted me to do that poll question is doing watch reviews. Guys would roll in, and they'd say something very condescending about the watch that I'm reviewing, as if, hey, Nutnfancy, review a real watch. And I always laugh at that. I think it's just ridiculous because a lot of the Casios, some of these value Seikos, value Momentums, whatever brand I'm reviewing, dude, they're great watches. So they don't cost $500. They keep great time. They look good. Look at this one. I mean, this is a ProTrek. Sorry, I'm putting my paddle in the water. ProTrek JDM This wasn't inexpensive. It's probably about $350.
Cool watch though.
It's a cool watch. Makes me happy. It'll last forever.
I've got a...
The point being is that there's guys that spend way over $500.
Oh, dude.
$5,000, $10,000 on one watch.
Sure, going to Las Vegas, just about any of the big shopping centers, there's a Rolex store. Roll through that place.
Yeah, been there. I'll roll in some photos of that, actually.
There's people in there shopping for a watch. I honestly, I would love to have a Rolex. I mean, I like watches. I'd love to have a Rolex.
Would you?
But,
Talk to me about that. What would it do for you? Would it just make you happy putting a real Rolex on, Jardine?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Rolex...
Here, take a rest. You've been paddling
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. Keep filming.
Okay.
But, you know, Rolex, they are...
Sorry, I'm filming the back of his head. So, I don't know, the camera just stopped for some reason, so I turned it back on. But grips, hand guards, barrels, you can totally customize it. They're super lightweight, super accurate, super reliable, cost efficient. AKs are good too. I mean, a good AK is awesome. I love the 7.62-39. With Magpul furniture, they're ergonomic. They won't be super light though. They're harder to put optics on. No getting around that with most versions.
Not saying it can't be done. I'm not arguing that. All I'm saying is if you're taking your standard run-of-the-mill gun owner who's weighing out the decision, do I want an AK or an AR for home defense? And he's gonna go buy a gun. He's gonna look at those things and he's gonna say, wow, the AR-15 is ready-made to be accessorized right out of the box. The AK, I'm gonna have to find a mount, put a mount on it. I'm gonna have to find buy Magpul furniture for the 4N so I can put a vertical grip on it.
All of which is more money and time.
Yep.
And some guys will like it. They want a project gun. Cool.
Sure, AKs are awesome, man.
But most don't. They want to buy it as is, ready to go. They're busy people with their jobs and families.
Floating down the river.
They're not gun tubers, in other words.
Sure.
You know, sometimes guys get confused about gun enthusiasts or gun tubers. And honestly, I don't know if they represent the majority of gun buyers. Most gun buyers, I think they may or may not be gun people. They just want a gun as a tool in the family.
Sure. I think that's a very accurate description. Most guys I know that own firearms, just your general run-of-the-mill firearm owner, isn't necessarily an enthusiast. He may have a couple of handguns, he may even have a 22 to practice with, but they only shoot a handful of times a year, and it's more something to have, just to have in the home.
Yeah, they want it for self-defense, maybe if all hell breaks loose.
Sure.
They're more into kayaking, road biking, mountain climbing, motorcycling, other life pursuits. Me, I love them all. We got to press on. So that was interesting. By the way, Bullpup Tavor RDB only ranked 10% in that list. And the amount of responses was 1,500 people.
Wow.
1,505 answered.
Wow.
When do you think the world will end? 26% said never. 15% said 5 to 20 years. 11% said 20 to 50. And then the winning response was 48%, 50 years from now.
50 years plus, right?
Yeah, 50 plus.
Yeah.
What did you vote?
I took 50 years plus, meaning anywhere from 50 to eternity.
So you and I will be old men. Oh wait, I'm already an old man. I'll be older and you'll be old.
Yeah.
And we had 1,370 people answer on that poll when I took the screenshot. These polls, by the way, will run 24 hours. That's a cool bird right there.
That was cool.
What is that? That is freaking
no idea,
cool.
But it's neat, man. He's just hanging out up there. He's a big bird too.
Let's see, yeah, there it is. That looks like a heron, but I don't know for sure.
You're the bird guy. I have no
that thing
idea.
will rip your freaking lips off.
He's a big bird, dude. That's a big bird.
Cool. Okay, so that's good. So there's some hope out there. So that shows that majority of respondents are not feeling like it's going to end anytime soon.
Good.
Do you favor government-forced wealth redistribution? This is done through penalties and higher taxes on producers and job creators. What percentage do you think said no?
Oh, dude, I'm going to say that was a huge percentage.
1,353 people answered.
I'm going to say 90 plus said no.
That's correct. 94% said no, work deserves reward.
Absolutely.
Percent said yes, everyone deserves the same amount of money, and if it means you have to tax other people and give me your hard-earned income, I'm all for that. But that's an overwhelming majority that shot that one out of the water.
Well, that 8%, they don't have a job right now, probably either.
Probably not. It's easy to say, you know, you're for higher taxes when you ain't paying them. That's an interesting question. By the way, what I find in these Twitter polls is that I'll post them and the results don't change after like 200 votes. And if you take a statistics course in college, you kind of see that you'll establish, I don't know, a polling result early and then it doesn't change too much from there. There are some variances on my polls, but usually early on, it will stay the same after about 200 responses, and then it locks in. They're open for 24 hours. So vote. Subscribe to Nutnfancy Twitter. There's a lot more on the way. I have a sex question to ask. Do you want me to ask it? Overwhelmingly, people said yes.
Yeah, sure.
I just didn't want to spring it on guys, and I didn't want to turn it into something pervy. It was just kind of a relationship question. Here it is. 89% said yeah, ask it. Assuming a healthy relationship, you'll love this one, Jardine. What is a normal sex frequency in a married couple? Answer honestly. Your responses are daily, twice a week, once a month, couple times a year.
Twice a week is what I answered.
That's what won.
I'm going to tell you, I know when I saw that poll, I saw a handful of people were like once a couple times a year. Dude, they got to be like the old TNPers. Who the hell?
6% said a couple times a year.
Yeah, they got to be the ones in their like 70s, man. There's no way.
I answered once a month, but I'm usually alone when it happens.
Ooh, boy, this boat just got smaller.
The winning response was 62% said twice a week, and honestly, I was just kidding on that other response. That's what I would say. I think twice a week is normal in a normal relationship, and I'm assuming, you know, that you're young enough and not too busy.
But
we had 1,494 people answer that question.
You know, but there was somebody that made a really good point in the comment on that poll. It said, you know, if you're a younger couple, no kids,
yeah, I
early
saw that
20s, yeah. So, I mean, he was saying, man,
life phase
4 or 5 times a week is more normal, and I would agree with that. That's probably normal. But when you're, you know, you're working, you got kids,
yeah,
twice a week,
don't have privacy,
yeah. I think twice a week is pretty normal for most people.
And another reason I put this down is to give ammunition to TNPers that they can show their wife what a wide variety of guys answered. And by the way, this settled an argument with a friend who will remain nameless for the time being. And I was right. I said, no, I bet you twice a week is what guys going to say. And sure enough, that won. Interesting, interesting. Next one. From this list, what do you think Trump's biggest flaw is? Impetuous, haphazard, he's an idiot, not smart, fails to unite people, waffles on issues. The winning response was 43% said impetuous and he's haphazard, and I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think he thinks things through. He just says, oh, I'm going to do this, and he doesn't build a coalition. He doesn't play nice with the opposing party, not even with those in his own party. I mean, dude, I know he's not a politician. I think a lot of us like that about Trump. And by the way, I'm not a rah-rah Trump guy. I never have been. But he's the best realistic choice we've had. I said that on the video on the B channel. And I'm supporting him as president. I think he's done a lot of good stuff. But he needs to slow down, think before he tweets, and quit pissing people off, dude. I mean, try to build a coalition around this, and there is going to have to be some compromise. You cannot get everything you want. America's never been that way. 18% said he's an idiot. 14% said he fails to unite people. 25% said he waffles on issues.
I don't think that's been the case.
Not from his campaign promises. No, I think he's been holding pretty solid on this.
He's been pretty much straight, all speed ahead, you know?
Yeah. So would you agree with the winning response there?
I think that's true.
Okay.
I agree with that.
From this list, what do you think Trump's biggest asset is? Follows through on promises, fully independent, not politically correct, true to Constitution.
Not politically correct is what I voted.
That's correct, and I would say that as well. That he is, well, he's not a politician.
He's not, but he calls it like he sees it. There's a lot of truth in that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know truth a lot of times that it kind of comes from a certain perspective or a point of view, but I mean, Trump, you know right where he stands. There's no ifs, ands, or buts on a lot of things. He really tells you pretty much what he's thinking and where he stands, and it's refreshing, to be honest with you.
Agree. I would say if Trump were to go for election right now, mid-2017, he would handily get reelected.
I agree.
I don't care what the MSM is saying. I don't care about all the propaganda out there, all the hate and vitriol, histrionics, hysteria against Trump. I think most Americans would readily vote him back into office because they like overall what he's done for America, for American jobs. He just bailed out of the Paris Climate Accords, which were hurting American jobs. Hey, I'm for climate, but that wasn't really about climate. That was about wealth redistribution, the United States to everyone else, pretty much. 53% said not politically correct. Fully independent was second.
Wow.
So
well, those are both. I think those are both true. Those are both.
Yeah,
good.
they're basically along the same lines.
Sure.
Next up, do you ever think we'll make contact with extraterrestrial beings, or they with us? Jardine.
I think we will. Yes.
35% was a winning answer after 1,041 people responded, and they said, yeah, possible, they exist. It's hard to keep my paddle out of the water. My dad always used to tell me, if someone says, hey, I saw a UFO, the ship doors opened and out came human beings, believe them. They're not like Martians with antenna coming out of their head. There's definitely other life on other planets. There's no question about it at all.
Agreed.
You know, will these planets intermingle and they'll come to us, we'll go to them? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if a UFO landed and said, yeah, some dude walked out and he looked just like Jardine, my answer would be, I always knew Jardine was an alien. 21% said yes, it totally will happen. And then 35% possible, they exist. 25% said hogwash, never will happen. And then 19% said my wife is an alien.
That's what I answered.
Did you really?
No.
You're single and stranded on a desert island. Which hot girl from this list would you prefer to repopulate the earth with? Or the island with? Your choices are Alexandria Daddario, Emily Ratajkowski, or however you say her name, Kate Upton, or Kelly Rohrbach from Baywatch, the new movie. The winning response, Jardine, was 43% said Kate Upton.
I believe it, but I took Alexandria Daddario.
She came in second at 24% with 1,333 people answering. She's gorgeous.
I had to pick her. She looks just like my wife.
She became suddenly less attractive to me because she hangs out with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Really?
Yeah, she's part of his posse, and I don't like that guy.
Huh.
And he says he's going to run for president.
The Rock's running for president, huh?
The one thing you might want to consider from this list, dudes, is Kelly Rohrbach or Rohrbach. She was not a professional, but she was a collegiate golfer. She's like an athlete. So if you have some work to do on the island, you might want to think about Kelly. Number one, she's gorgeous, hot bod, and then she's also an athlete and probably can work pretty good. Just a thought. So it's not just a sex thing, it's a worker survival thing. Huh, didn't see that aspect coming, did ya? Not so much.
Answer first, think later.
Don't think with the brain?
Yeah.
Think with the other head?
Yeah, well.
You are parachuting into a swamp filled with pissed off man-eating crocodiles. You'll be 100 yards from the shore. I'm gonna end with this one. Choose your weapon. Cold steel taipan dagger, ball peen hammer, Ruger LCP with 2 mags, asp police baton. Go.
I took the dagger.
Good choice, dude.
Yep.
That's really a hard decision.
It is, but
because it's kind of like here. So let's say we're in Africa and you jump in the middle of this water right here, and you got crocs that's gonna rip your lips off. The dagger doesn't run out of ammo.
Nope.
And the cold steel taipan is my favorite dagger in the world. I think I would go with the taipan.
Well, think about this, man. You're going to be in the water with a gun. it's probably going to malfunction.
Correct.
And on top of that, it's not going to be shooting.
It's only a 380.
You know, you figure you got a dagger, you can always come down the top of one of the skulls of those things.
Yep.
Poke him in the eye. I'd be swinging like Jose Canseco, dude. I can tell you that.
One thing you want to watch out for, though, is that's a double-edged dagger. You could easily cut yourself in the process.
I'd take the cut over missing a leg.
Yeah. Ball peen hammer would be a good choice, too, because you could just swing that and just play whack-a-mole in the middle of the swamp. Dude, that's an awesome weapon.
I don't know, though, dude. That picture that you posted?
Yeah.
That was one gnarly crocodile, man.
That was a saltwater crocodile.
He's pretty much gonna swallow me whole. I'm a big guy.
You put that freaking dagger right up through his bottom of his jaw, he'll think twice. But you got to see him coming in murky water like this. You won't see him. Next thing you know, you're going to be towed under, and then they start twisting. They grab on you and they start roll twisting.
That's where you bait him in, dude. Remember the noodling thing?
Yeah, you go ahead and noodle that croc. The ass police baton has an interesting aspect because you could extend it and then put it in the open jaws, just like in the cartoons.
Good luck with that one.
The winning response with a Ruger LCP2 with 2 mags, dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't fault guys for saying that.
I don't either. I just, you got to really think about, and maybe maybe that's the right choice. I saw a lot of people saying LCP so they could save a bullet for themselves if they needed to, if need be. But
yeah,
with the dagger, at least you gotta. I mean, you'd have to hold on to that thing, but you'd have a shot.
And it won't malfunction.
It won't malfunction. As hard as you can swing.
Yeah, and it's got that pommel on the end of it too. It's that piercing pommel that's incredible.
Yep.
Good answer. So check out Twitter. We got more polls coming along. Thanks, Jardine, for playing along.
Sure.
Thanks for TNPers. And we're just going to go everywhere. It's going to be highly unpredictable. Politics. Not too many sex questions. Sorry, Jardine. Sorry. Lots of gear questions, though. We'll see. Signing off. We got, what, about 12 more miles to go?
At least.
Covering poll results. See you later.
Mm-hmm.